Tom and I met during a summer festival in our small mountain town. From the moment he smiled at me, I knew he was different, full of life and brimming with big dreams. We spent hours talking under the stars, sharing our goals and imagining a future filled with adventures. "Lara," he said, his eyes shining with determination, "one day we'll conquer the world together." I believed him. His ambition was contagious, and soon we started building dreams as a team. He'd create innovative software, and I'd open my own art gallery. Those were days of promise and hope. I felt invincible, like nothing could break us apart. But looking back now, I see the cracks that ambition was beginning to carve. Tom's desire to achieve more grew stronger every day, and I didn't realize how much it would change everything. It wasn't long before Tom's hunger for success outgrew our little town. One evening, after dinner, he shared the news I'd been dreading. He had accepted a job offer in the city. His eyes sparkled with excitement, but I could feel my heart sink. "This is our chance, Lara," he said, holding my hand tightly. "I'm doing this for us. It's only temporary." I tried to smile, but fear and doubt crept in. I didn't want to hold him back, yet the thought of him leaving felt unbearable. The night he packed his bags, the rain tapped softly against the windows. As we stood by the door, he pulled me into a long embrace. "We'll talk every day," he whispered, brushing a tear from my cheek. I nodded, trying to hold on to his words. But as he walked away, suitcase in hand, I couldn't shake the feeling that he was taking a part of me with him. At first, Tom and I spoke every evening. His voice, though distant, was my anchor. He'd tell me about his new job, the fast pace of the city, and the endless opportunities awaiting him. But as the weeks passed, our conversations grew shorter, our messages fewer. "Work's been crazy," he'd say when I called. "We'll catch up soon, I promise." I told myself he was just busy, that he still cared. Yet, with every unanswered text, my heart felt heavier. The man who once dreamed with me under the stars now seemed a world away. One night I asked, "Do you even miss me anymore?" His pause on the other end was deafening. "Of course, Lara. I'm just focused on building something for us." His words were meant to reassure me, but they didn't. Something had shifted, and I could feel the distance stretching between us, both physically and emotionally. It happened during one of Tom's rare visits home. I'd been feeling uneasy for weeks, and the gap between us felt insurmountable. That evening, as he showered, his phone buzzed on the nightstand. A message preview caught my eye. "Can't wait to see you again, Sarah." My hands trembled as I unlocked the screen. The thread of messages revealed late-night conversations, inside jokes, and plans they'd made together. Each word felt like a knife, cutting through the trust we'd built. When Tom returned, I confronted him, my voice shaking. "Who is Sarah?" His expression froze, and for a moment I thought he might lie. But then he sighed, rubbing his temples. "It was a mistake, Lara. She understands the pressure I'm under. It just happened." My chest tightened as tears blurred my vision. "We promised each other, Tom. We were supposed to face everything together." "I'm sorry," he murmured, "but the damage was done." The weight of his betrayal crushed me, leaving me to question if our love could ever be repaired. After Tom left that night, I sat in silence, staring at the empty space where his suitcase had been. The pain was overwhelming, but beneath it, a question emerged. Who am I without him? For so long, my life had revolved around our shared dreams. Now I felt untethered, lost in a sea of what-ifs. Slowly, I began to reflect on the choices I'd made, how I put my own aspirations on hold to support his. I started journaling, pouring my thoughts onto paper. Through the words, I began to see a version of myself I'd forgotten, a woman with her own passions, her own dreams. I remembered my love for painting, the way colors used to flow from my brush like a second language. It's time to rediscover who I am, I whispered to the quiet room. That night, I set up my old easel and let the paint guide me. Each stroke felt like a piece of my soul coming back to life. I wasn't just healing, I was reclaiming myself. With each passing day, I felt a little stronger. I threw myself into my art, channeling every emotion, pain, hope, and resilience onto the canvas. My small apartment became a sanctuary, filled with vibrant colors and the hum of creativity. Opportunities I'd never sought before began to find me. I submitted my work to a local gallery, and to my surprise, they loved it. They offered to showcase my paintings in an upcoming exhibition. For the first time in years, I felt a spark of pride that was entirely my own. I'm finally building something for myself, I thought, smiling as I added the final touch to a new piece. One evening, while preparing for the exhibition, I received an unexpected invitation to a networking event. It was there, amid the chatter and laughter, that I saw him, Tom, standing across the room. My heart skipped a beat, but this time it wasn't from longing. Capítulo 7. Tom noticed me almost immediately. His smile was tentative as he approached, hands tucked nervously into his pockets. "Lara," he said softly, his voice carrying a mix of surprise and regret. "Tom," I replied, keeping my tone steady. My heart raced, but I refused to let the past overwhelm me. He looked at me for a moment, as if searching for the right words. "You look different, happier." "I am," I said simply. We talked briefly, catching up on the months we'd spent apart. He admitted his mistakes, how his relentless pursuit of success had blinded him to what truly mattered. "I thought achieving my goals would fill the void," he said, his voice heavy. "But without you, it all felt meaningless." I felt a pang of sadness, but also a quiet strength. "We both lost sight of ourselves, Tom," I replied. "But I've learned that happiness doesn't come from someone else, it comes from within." His eyes softened, and he nodded. "I'm glad you found that, Lara, truly." As we said our goodbyes, I realized something. I was finally free, unburdened by the weight of our past. As I walked home that evening, the city lights shimmered like a reflection of the journey I'd taken. Tom's words lingered in my mind, but they no longer carried the weight they once did. I'd found peace in knowing I didn't need to cling to the past to move forward. The night of my exhibition arrived, and the gallery buzzed with life. Guests admired my paintings, each one a testament to my resilience and growth. Standing amidst the crowd, I felt a deep sense of fulfillment, not just because of their praise, but because I knew I had built this moment on my own terms. A woman approached me, her eyes bright with admiration. "Your work is so raw, so real. It's like it tells a story of finding light after darkness." I smiled, realizing she was right. That was my story, a journey of self-discovery, healing, and learning that true happiness comes from embracing who you are. As the evening came to a close, I took a deep breath and whispered to myself, "This is just the beginning." For the first time in years, I felt whole, knowing that my happiness was mine to create and cherish. Today you learned expressions about difficult choices and how to talk about ambition and love in English. Remember, every obstacle teaches us something valuable. Just like Lara, you can find strength in difficult times. Subscribe to the channel and follow the next story to continue learning English in a practical and exciting way.